It's a beautiful day here in Bormio, Italy for World Cup Downhill number 4 of the 2012-2013 season. I'm Ian Finlay in the commentary box and we are on one of the classic tracks on the men's downhill World Cup, the Stelvio piste right here in Bormio. Weather is absolutely perfect for this race. Conditions nice and solid underfoot. We're going to have a great race today, that's for sure. It's a course that I love. It's a course many of the athletes love as well. A lot of fans in the finish area ahead of this one. This eagerly anticipated race. We've been coming here since 1985. It's a long track. It's a tough track. It is an absolute beast of a track. It is challenge from top to bottom. Very few spots on this Stelvio piste where these athletes can catch a breather. Strongest man on the day is going to take home the glory here in Bormio. There's the finish area, just bathed in a little bit of sunshine. Let's have a little more detailed look at where we are today. There's the view from across the valley of the Stelvio piste, starting at 2,255 metres, vertical drop just over 1,000 metres, -4 at the start, just bang on freezing, 0 degrees in the finish. It can be quite a cold spot in the town. Sun often breaks through a little bit later in the day. Much of this track in the shade at the moment, and we get a look at the downhill standings. Well, Svindal leads the way. He won the opening round of the tour in Lake Louise, followed that up with a second place in Beaver Creek. He's got an 86-point lead. Jansrud sits in second place. In an offer in fourth, the winner in Beaver Creek. He's going to have a lot of support today in the finish area. The only other winner this season, Stephen Nyman of the USA. Winner in Val Gardena just a couple of weeks ago. Svindal leads the overall standings by 54 points over Hirscher. Ligeti in third. Jansrud will be looking to try and close that gap today if he can in the overall standings. 100 points up for grabs for the winner, 80 for second, 60 for third, and all the way down to just one still extremely valuable World Cup point for the skier who finishes in 30th place today here in Bormio. We've had 2 training runs over the last couple of days. Adrian Teo winning the first training run, Innerhofer in second, Dominik Paris in third in training number 1. Training number 2, Klaus Kroll taking that Innerhofer in second, Paris in third. So the Italians looking strong on home snow. You never know just how much those athletes are giving it in those training runs. But certainly, Innerhofer and Paris doing well in the training runs. Yannick Bertrand just going through his final preparations. We're not too far away from the start of today's race. 48 competitors on the start list. Well, Bormio, a beautiful town. Lots of lovely little side streets to explore, lovely shops and restaurants as we take a look back at the bib draw from last night. Crowd came in for that as well in the town square.
Here we go.
There is Svindal. Svindal going 19th today. Eric Gay, 20th. 2011 world champion Jansrud looking to close that gap at the top of the downhill standings. Bib at 21, that's the key area to look at, but a few of the early starters hoping to get a time on the board. Certainly the likes of Defago, Dominik Paris, Innerhofer, Adrian Teo. So here's the start list in full. Yannick Bertrand is going to kick us off. Werner Heel will be the first of the Italians. Then Didier Defago, the 2010 Olympic gold medalist in downhill from those Vancouver Games. Svindal 19th, as we've just seen. Jansrud 21, Kroll 22. Stephen Nyman, the winner, and Val Gardena 26. 55 athletes in total. I think I said 46, 48 before. I don't know where that came from, but 55 athletes on the start list. And we're going to see every single one of those skiers over the next couple of hours or so on a beautiful day here in Bormio. Maybe someone like Andrew Wybrecht could spring a surprise from bib 52. A Super G specialist, but Wybrecht on his day can certainly get it done. Well, we're in a resort steeped in ski racing history. World Championships have been held here in the past, World Cup finals as well. It is a famous town, it is a famous track, and the best in the world are just moments away from getting underway. Looking forward to seeing, of course, the famous San Pietro jump. Coming 2/3 of the way down the course. Starting high up on the mountain, finishing through the trees, right into the town of Bormio. So Yannick Bertrand in the start gate, ready to kick off World Cup downhill, number 4 of the 2012-2013 season. I'm Ian Finley in the commentary box. Excited for this one. I hope you are as well. So Bertrand gets downhill number 4 underway. 2 very quick turns, and then into the first of the jump, the rocker jump. And the speed just builds and builds straight out of the start. Now we're looking to glide those skis, but the terrain just keeps coming at you. And Yannick Bertrand, we're going to see his full run here. Just under 120 on the speed gun. Just a fraction wide there, but it's all about maintaining that speed. And you can see on this course just how much terrain there is. A little flat section here before we head towards the San Pietro jump. And this course really works with the mountain. much a natural downhill course, if you ask me. It's one of the highest speed points on the track. Flattens out into a real compression. But here we go, over San Pietro, high speed. And Bertrand putting together a nice run here. Of course, we're not going to be able to see just how good a run it is until a few more skiers have been down. Some small mistakes in the run, but Yannick Bertrand now on the bottom sections of the course. Seen that giant slalom set down this part of the hill, and even a ski cross, believe it or not. Now the finish line in sight. Final little jump, and Yannick Bertrand in 2 minutes and 91. That is the benchmark pace for the rest of the field, and hands will be on the legs. They'll be burning up quite a lot, that's for sure, after this one. Sylvain Zurbriggen next on course here from Switzerland. Just a little off the pace on the top section of Yannick Bertrand. And the Swiss skier very much in touch with the Frenchman. Now he's built a quarter of a second advantage, and Zurbriggen going to build on that as this gets further and further down the mountain. Here you have to really find the flow through the course. Fans are packed in tightly around the San Pietro jump. This is right where Zurbriggen is now. And it is a straight dive down the fall line. Well, the advantage has got a little smaller for Zurbriggen. He's pushed sideways there. That wasn't the cleanest of lines. Now he's running wide, but it's turned out to be a fast line for Zurbriggen. He's built on the advantage, 0.42 at the last time check. And Zurbriggen approaching the line. Can he get under 2 minutes? Can't quite, but he goes into first place. Quarter of a second ahead of Yannick Bertrand. And the Swiss fans applaud that run from Zurbriggen. Gives them a wave as well. David Poisson now from France. Going big on La Rocca jump. Good top section so far from Poisson. The green light's been on all the way. He's trapped a little on the inside ski. Fighting the mountain here, but Poisson delivering a good run there so far. Pushed wide here, Poisson. Some of that advantage might have gone. That's a nice clean flight. Poisson, we know he can find the speed on these courses, and that's what he's got to do here, and he's doing a great job of it. A fraction down on the speed gun, 117. Nearly half a second advantage over Zurbriggen. Poisson nearly up to a full second, so everything going to plan for the Frenchman. Through into the final jump, David Poisson tucks for the finish line and into top spot, 0.89 ahead First man to get under the 2-minute barrier here in Bormio. I think David Poisson's got to be pretty happy with that run. He was well outside the blue line on a couple of occasions. It doesn't matter though. Those blue lines are not there for anything other than to just help the skiers with definition on the course, and in case the light gets a little flat. Rok Perko of Slovenia on course now. He's just 0.46 off the pace of David Poisson, but small stumble there from Perko. Maybe more time has gone. Poisson was really strong on the bottom section. And this course is all about holding that strength, finding that extra ounce of power, that extra ounce of energy on the bottom half of this fantastic Stelvio track. Every section of this course just makes you work, makes you think about your approach, and Rok Perko, fair to say, struggling a little bit here. Over 2 seconds off the pace, and Perko's not going to be challenging the top names today. And to me, he looks just a little tired. And perhaps a run that Rok Perko is going to be frustrated with. Goes in to 4th place, 2.21 off the pace set by David Poisson, bib number 3. So we see coming through the traverse. A little bounced around, not too strong through the midsection. Now from Canada, Manny Osborne at Parody. What can the first of the Canadians get done here? 3-time winner on the World Cup Tour. He's won on some tough tracks. Val Gardena, Kvitfeld. That was all in 2009. Parody with the green light on by 0.08 of a second. Never been on the World Cup podium here as the Canadian. It's a good start to his run. And Manny Osborne Parody now has to keep searching for more and more as this course goes on, as he gets closer to the finish line. He's just the wrong side of the clock, but the speed's good. 120.6 for Osborne Parody. And the Canadian is in touch here, but the bottom section has to be flawless. Struggling through the icy section though. This part of the course gets very little sun. It's so solid underfoot. Can get a little bumpy as well. And Osborne Parody's challenge, well, it comes to an end. Drops into second place, 0.36. 2 minutes, 0.13. But a great cheer from the Canadian fans. So Poisson's seen off a couple of challengers, but the big names still to come here. Andrej Sporn from Slovenia. Already seen Rok Perko have a pretty tough day. Now Andrej Sporn with the green light on, 0.18. The right side of the clock. And it's building here, 0.38. Andrej Sporn on an absolute flyer on the top section. But he's got to keep this up. That's a good position. finding the speed where he can. And Sporn still the right side of the clock, but what's the next time check going to say? That's going to be a key one for the Slovenian over San Pietro. Nice strong flight in the air. Now approaching that next time check, and Sporn's just a little on the tails. 0.42. He's taking risk. Nearly a half a second up. Well, Andrej Sporn on a charge from bib number 6, but most of that time is gone now. Oh, he's a little back seat here. Andrej Sporn, oh! Dramatic fall, and Sporn is out of the race into the B-nets. Oh, that is such a shame. High speed fall there, and oh, Sporn. You can feel the frustration. Just pitched onto the heels of the skis, and to this left foot turn, just can't get the purchase on the ski. And the terrain on this course means you have to have the balance absolutely spot on. And he was quite literally spat out the course, but most importantly, he's on his feet. You can see how frustrated he was, and when he goes back and looks at the split times, I'm afraid he's only going to get more frustrated. Because that was a really good run that was being built there. Well, if you know ski racing, you know who that man is. One of my heroes in the sport, Alberto Tomba. Quite simply a legend. Into Haraja, the top man today. From the FIS, just watching over proceedings. There'll be some repair work done to the B netting where Andrej Sporn went in. To those nets, and Werner Heel will just have a little delay before his rump. Tomba there. He's won here in the past in giant slalom. Great to see him here. I'm sure he'll be signing a few autographs and enjoying the atmosphere. Popular man wherever he goes. Well, Andrej Sporn on his feet. We'll look at the current standings. David Poisson in top spot for now. Still a long way to go in this race, but Poisson in a good position.
No legs, huh? It does not grow, I'm not so tired.
So the B-net's being fixed. Into Haraja just checking in with the course crew, and I think you know this is a classic race, and we are commentating it as live for you, and David Poisson in the lead. But of course, I think it's important to say David Poisson, much missed from the ski racing world, sadly lost his life in November 2017 in a training accident in Canada at Nakiska. And it is, of course, a pleasure to watch back David Poisson in action, but of course much missed from the ski racing world. I think it's important to say that, and we'll remember David Poisson with fondness. Two-time Olympian, 11 seasons on the World Cup Tour. Did pick up a podium in his World Cup career. That came a little later on from today's race, or this race, in 2016. But lovely to see David Poisson in the lead here in Bormio. So we'll drop back into live mode for you. Hope you're enjoying the race. Still a long way to go here in Bormio, Italy. And Werner Hill in the start gate. So the Italian Werner Hill ready to get underway. And bib number 7, Werner Hill, starts off his challenge. We should see most of his run, actually, because of the delay. And the Italian starting off 0.13 off the pace. He's going to get so much support from the Italian fans. Tom will be cheering him on. And Werner Hill, one of the big names of Italian ski racing, still very much in touch on the top section, just 0.11 off the pace. Was on the podium last season in Super G in Val Gardena. Not last season, actually, just a couple of weeks ago. And Werner Hill putting down a very strong run here. It's the right side of the clock. Carrying that form from a couple of weeks back. Grabbing that World Cup podium. So Werner Hill with a bit of confidence in the skis, and the next time check approaching, and Werner Hill still the right side of the clock. Built on that advantage, 0.53, over half a second, and this is building into a lovely run, but there's the first big mistake, and he's lost a quarter of a second. So Werner Hill with some work to do on the bottom section to keep this clock turned green as Werner Hill approaches the finish line. He takes it. Oh, what an advantage he built up right on the bottom section. 159.04 for the Italian. Werner Hill, a very strong run indeed, and that could hold up pretty well throughout this race. So David Poisson applauds the run of Werner Hill. Now, the 2010 Olympic gold medalist from Switzerland, Didier Defago. He's made a great start to the run. Quarter of a second, the right side of the clock for Defago. Hasn't gone his way so far this season. Down in 24th in the downhill standings. So Didier Defago now with the green light on all the way. But Werner Hill was quick on the bottom section. And unfortunately all that time has gone. And Defago now running wide, 0.74 off the pace. So Defago approaching the finish line. It's not going to be top spot. He drops into fourth, 1.45. Dominik and Defago won here last year. Not going to repeat that. It was a 1-2 for Switzerland in 2011, but Defago a little off the pace here. Some of the big names in the sport, of course, have won on this hill. The likes of Michael Valkhofer, Bodie Miller. Innerhofer's been a winner here in the past. Hermann Maier won here in 97, he won in 98. Darren Ralphs as well a winner on this track. Eberharter. As the youngster from Canada, Benjamin Thompson on course. 0.21 off the pace. So he'll lead in the way, Poisson in second. Osborne Paradis still in third for Canada. Defago in fourth, no repeat. A back-to-back victory for him. Ben Thompson. Starting to just get a feel for these World Cup tracks. It's a long learning curve on the Men's Downhill World Cup Tour. It does take a few years to get the experience, really get a feel for the conditions at each of the venues. They all have their own unique traits. And Benjamin Thompson just standing a little tall for me. With about one jump to go, and Thompson crosses the line in third place. 0.83, 1:59.87 his time. And the Canadian pushes Osborne Paradis off the provisional podium. More valuable experience for Benjamin Thompson. Now Dominik Paris, the Italian, has gone well in training and he knows this hill well. Italian team train up on the glacier in Stelvio, of course not too far away from here. One of the most beautiful driving roads anywhere in the world, great for cycling as well. And Paris, quarter of a second up. Such a strong, powerful athlete. This course really suits him. He's been pitched around, a little twisted, but the skis are still going in the right direction, and that's what matters. And Paris, with the green light on all the way so far, getting one of the loudest cheers of the day. And the Italian settling nicely, just minor adjustments through the turns, hands behind the knees, getting to a very strong aerodynamic position in the air. Next time check, oh, but the green light is gone. The speed is good though for Paris, over 120 kilometers an hour, clean through the traverse. And now he's found just a little extra, 0.12. Dominik Paris on a great run here, but it's going to be close. No more mistakes on the bottom section of the course. This is where the power and strength comes to the fore. Dominik Paris diving for the finish line. Oh, and he takes it. 0.42. Dominik Paris into the lead. 1 minute 58.62. And the Italian has got nothing left in the tank. Oh, what a run from Dominik Paris. And he's quietly confident. He knows that is good. The good training runs have been turned into a great race run for Dominik Paris. So from bib 10 into top spot. And a man that's, well, never won on the World Cup Tour before. We'll be hoping maybe that'll hold up. You just don't know, but we move on. Bib 11, Puchner now of Austria. We've seen Quite a few athletes with green lights on the top section. Losing it in the middle where the course does flatten slightly just before the San Pietro jump. After that San Pietro, we do have the La Conta section. The legs are screaming. The lactic acid is building, and Puchner over half a second off the pace. Go through La Conta here, just that big wall in the shade. It takes all that energy out of you. Anything that you did have left, well, La Conta takes it away. And Puchner out of the course and sitting in that B netting. The Austrian coach is watching over. Just as we were saying, this bottom section takes it out of you. Puchner offline, throws the skis sideways and out of a compression right into the B netting, and that's going to take a few minutes to sort out, I'm afraid. So Puchner still tangled up in the safety netting. Unfortunately, that's what can happen. The man from St. Johann. Well, Puchner had a strong end to 2011 season. Podium in Super G and Kvitfeld. Second in Lenzerheide in downhill 2011. On the podium in Super G in Lake Louise back at the end of November of 2012 this year. As we look at the current standings, Dominik Paris 0.42 ahead of the rest of the pack with a very strong time. It'll be making its way around the top of the course. Everyone up there knows that Paris has set a very healthy time and puts a bit of pressure on the big names still to come. Tomba there congratulating Dominik Paris. Just as Jochen Puchner is being attended to. They do have a great team here. I don't know I say that for most events, but it really is true. Everywhere the various FIS World Cups go to, the medical teams, the support teams are absolutely world class. But in particular here in Bormio, I've done some work with them myself over the years, working at the Snowsport England Alpine Championships, which have been taking place for a long time. And right on this hill here in Bormio, the Stelvio Piste, the English Alpine Championships, running Super G, FIS Super G, giant slalom for many young skiers, and those FIS races attracting skiers from all over Europe coming to get experience of racing on this hill. And I've worked with the pisteurs here, been in the machines, building a few features. We built a little combi course a little further up the mountain, and they were a great team of people to work with in Bormio. Very much enjoyed it. Loved my time in Bormio. Fantastic resort, wonderful restaurants, a few nice bars as well. Highly recommend a visit here. Well, we're going to see quite a lot of Tomba today. Superstar that he is. Certainly when I was growing up watching Tomba and Mark Giardelli battle it out, as we was just a pure joy. And as we see Puchner into the B netting, a few of the fans watching by the side of the Of course, diving out of the way. The B-netting doing its job, but it does take a few minutes to get it all back in place. Into Haraja, just checking in with everybody. Into skiers in the start gate. I've got a little bit of a longer wait, still a couple of minutes away. Jan Hudek, the Canadian, takes the jacket off. Not the coldest of days today, it was just -4 in the start gate, but we've still got a minute or two just before Jan Hudek will be able to get back on this race back underway.
Terzo Christophe, qui sono saliti sul podio anche Peter Thiel nel 2006, Christian Guidin.
Well, Paris obviously still leads. The last Italian man to win here was Innerhofer back in 2008. It is a hill that has been well, dominated by the Austrian team. Hannes Trinkel won here in 1993, ahead of Mark Giardelli. Tommy Moe as well, third that day. The great American downhill gold medalist. But all the big Austrian names have won here. Meyer, Schiffrer, Fritz Strobel, Eberharter, Walkhofer. Walkhofer, the last Austrian winner. That was in 2010. So we're ready for Jan Hudek here in Bormio.
Che scenderà con il 19 proprio prima del canadese.
So the man based out of Banff, Alberta in Canada, Jan Hudek, gets this race back underway. After a long delay, after Puchner's crash, Jan Hudek, silver medalist in downhill at the 2007 World Championships in Åre, Sweden. Looking to see what he can do here. He's been on the podium in the past on this race in 2007. Bodie Miller, the winner that day. So Jan Hudek has had some success here. Can he find that form again? Down in 30th in the standings at the moment. But very much in touch here. Just a tenth of a second off the pace, and Jan Hudek, if he could keep this going towards the bottom, is going to be thereabouts. But Paris was so strong on the bottom section of the course, and that might be the difference. But Hudek, now as this course starts to get bathed in just a little more sunshine, there's still this section though at the San Pietro that doesn't get it, and going from the shade into the light is an additional challenge for the skiers, and on this course that light is changing all the time, and it can just take a fraction of a second, sometimes longer, for those eyes to adjust. And Hudek now 0.78 off the pace, and that is not going to bring him another podium result here. Hudek just looking a little tired, but the Canadian crosses the line in 5th place. 2 minutes, 0.101, 0.48 off the time set by Dominik Paris, the leader.
Il canadese, so we got a green Canadian, the top 6 places is a Benjamin Thompson,
well, the noise levels going up just a fraction as Christoph Innerhofer starts off the challenge. Winner in Beaver Creek. It's been a hot and cold season for Christoph Innerhofer so far. 0.41 off the pace at the second time check. Not what Innerhofer would have needed. And the man who won here in 2008, well, he hasn't lost any more time between intermediate 2 and intermediate 3. And he can't afford to lose any more. Through the traverse on the inside ski. Nice balance from Innerhofer. Hugely popular Italian racer. Getting a lot of support. Of course, as you'd expect. And Innerhofer now in that aerodynamic tuck position. Trapped on the inside. He's just shaved a little bit off the deficit, but way down on the speed, just 113 kilometers an hour. And unfortunately, the gap is growing, and Innerhofer will do very well to bring this back on the bottom section. He'll still get a loud cheer. Paris time is not under threat here. Christoph Innerhofer into third place, 0.67 off the pace. And Innerhofer, well, I think he'll be just a little disappointed there. He acknowledges the crowd. Well, maybe not. Maybe he's, yeah, so he says. He felt, obviously, he's throwing everything in that run, but that's the big mistake on the run. On the inside skiing at over 60 miles an hour, over 100 kilometers an hour, a mistake like that, well, it's not what you want. Adrien Théo on course from France, bib 14. And the Frenchman, based out of Val Thorens. Just one World Cup win in his career, winning World Cup finals in Lenzerheide in 2011. And the Frenchman hasn't had too much success on this hill. Théo very much in touch, 0.13 back. That's exactly where he wants to be. He can find the pace on the bottom section of the course. That's Innerhofer had his big mistake, but Théo much better on the speed gun, 119.15, and Théo, can he find that little bit extra on the bottom section? But unfortunately, the gap has grown, 0.44, and Théo with a lot of work to do over the final 10 seconds or so of this run. And the challenge comes to an end for Adrien Théo. Into fourth place, 0.70 back, and he'll drop a few places from that fourth spot at the moment. I've seen a few of these skiers come across the line, and whilst they're not slamming their poles on the ground, angry at their runs, they immediately, I think they all know where they've made one or two mistakes. So next of the Italians, the great Peter Phil, experienced man. He's been on the World Cup tour for a long time now. Made his World Cup debut back in 2002 in a Super G in Altenmark Zauchensee. Peter Phil, just 200ths of a second off the pace. Second here in 2006. And the green light's on, nearly a quarter of a second, and Peter Phil has raised the noise levels in the finish area when the Italian fans seen that. Light go green, but he's run a little wide, small mistake there from Peter Phil. Next time check, absolutely key, and the speed gun as well, 1:28.07 for Paris. It's gone the wrong side of the clock, and the speed's down as well for Phil. 0.34 off the pace. And the Italian, now, well, the gap keeps growing. 0.70 Peter Phil on the bottom section. Isn't going to be challenging for a podium today. Still gets a very warm reception in the finish area. And Peter Phil, 1:59.61 into 5th place. But nearly a full second off the pace. And well, what's interesting to me is Dominik Paris has got a healthy advantage over the rest of the pack. There's still a lot of room for skiers to get on the podium. This race far from over. So after the top 15, well, at the moment, it's looking great for the Italians in 1-2 positions, 1, 2, 3. Peter Phil in 5th. Still, the big names, the big hitters still to come, and they really start from now. We'll look back at the current top 3. Innerhofer, the winner here in 2008, currently in 3rd place. Huge mistake on his run. He was trapped on the inside ski, the left ski, catching an edge. Werner Heel sitting in 2nd spot for now. Dominik Paris barely put a foot wrong, and a big, powerful Italian using all of his strength to stamp his authority on this Stelvio piste. We move on, bib 16, Johan Claret gets this race back underway. Flying high on the top jump. The rock up, 100th of a second at the right side of the clock. And the margins are so small in Alpine skiing, but this course running just under 2 minutes, so well, you don't need me to tell you. A long way to go, but Johan Claret going in the right direction. 1:20 on the speed gun. 0.2 of a second advantage over Dominik Paris at this part of the course, but he's a little on the inside, pushed wide. And Claret might just have lost a little bit of that advantage as we approach the next time check. I'm completely wrong, he hasn't. Well, that's the way it goes, but everything going to plan so far for Johan Claret. And the Frenchman goes from the shade now, pushing the sunlight again. That's where Innerhofer had his mistake, and now the Frenchman, San Pietro. Skied over that myself with a big bundle of gates, and I'm not gonna lie, did not enjoy it. But now the advantage is all but gone. 700 of a second, over 1:20 on the speed gun, and Claret still in touch here. The Frenchman is now the wrong side of the clock by 100th of a second, but he can certainly claw that back over the last 10 seconds. This is going to be close. Johan Claret from France now can see the finish line. Can he get close to the time of Dominik Paris, the current leader? Claret crosses the line in 2nd place. 0.32 the gap, but Claret in second spot. It's a thumbs up from the current leader. You see that the skiers are getting close to the Italian leader on the top section. Just that little bit more on the bottom section that Dominik Paris was able to pull out and find to the bottom section of the run. Might just be the difference here today. The likes of Baumann, Svindal, Jansrud will have something to say about that now. Hannes Reichelt, the Austrian. On course, it hasn't gone the way of the Austrians so far. Romed Baumann crashed out. Now Hannes Reichelt, experienced man in his 30s, based out of Radstad in the Salzburger land. And Reichelt, 0.2 of a second, his advantage. Silver medalist in Super G at the World Championships in 2011. Won a Super G on this course before in 2008. And he's got a big advantage here. Hannes Reichelt, half a second. Reichelt looking to spoil the Italian party. Time check absolutely key here. It's all about how much of an advantage he can take into the bottom section. Half a second before this, Hannes Reichelt. Oh, it's still half a second, and the speed is still good, above 120. Through the traverse in the shade now, the legs are burning. Drops a little bit, 0.42. Hannes Reichelt from Austria might be about to go into top spot here. Running a little wide, and that might cost him just a little more time. Hannes Reichelt of Austria dives for the finish line, stops the clock. Oh, it's a dead heat. Oh, tied in first place with Paris. Hannes Reichelt into first place, 1 minute 58.62. Exactly the same time as the Italian leader, and we have got a tie for first. Well, you can see Reichelt, well, Dominik Paris, he'll be a little disappointed he's not in top spot on his own, but he's happy to still have that number 1 next to his name. But it was a mistake. Just 10 seconds before the finish, Reichelt ran a little wide, and that's where the time went and cost him first place on his own. So next to the Austrians, the Austrians just keep coming at us. Romed Baumann, he's 0.32 back, and Reichelt sets up good early split times. So Romed Baumann, the wrong side of the clock. The winner of the World Cup Tour in that Super Combined, winner in Sestria 2009, Chamonix 2012, so we know he's got some downhill skills. And a great all-rounder is Romed Baumann. It's just not going his way today. 0.79 back. Well, 0.49, so he's getting faster and faster. But still the wrong side of the clock, and Romed Baumann building a nice run here, and he'll be hoping that can keep closing that gap, and the Austrian Baumann's not going to go into top spot. lost a little more time towards the finish into 5th place, 0.66 behind our joint leaders, Reichelt and Paris. So Bowman, 6th place for him.
Zwei Österreicher in den Top 5 Positionen, der Leader Hannes Reichel und auf den 5. Platz Robert Baumann. Questi I due atleti austriaci nelle prime 5 posizioni. Attenzione, che è partito Superman, Axel Svindal con il numero 10.
Now the great Norwegian Axel and Svindal on course. Leader of the Downhill World Cup Tour standings, winner of Lake Louise, second in Beaver Creek. Svindal hasn't won on this course before. And he's very much in touch, just a 100th of a second off the pace. Celebrated his birthday just a few days ago. And Svindal, gold medalist from Vancouver 2010 in Super G. Hasn't seen any of that time go, just 600th of a second. The deficit at the moment, and a man like Svindal can easily turn that into an advantage. Tall, powerful Norwegian likes these long, tough courses. He's got the build for it. He's got the skill for it as well. Now just 300ths of a second. There's a little mistake from Svindal. Now on the tails of the skis. That's the second big mistake in the run. Right at the key part of the course as well. And he's now 0.17 off the pace. But Svindal is a magician at finding time on the bottom section of courses, and the Norwegian diving for the line. Oh, into 3rd by 100th of a second. How did he find that much time on the bottom half of the course? 2 big mistakes on the bottom section I thought might have cost him, but he clawed that right back, and he's smiling. He knows where he lost that time, that's for sure. Just that one split where he was 0.17 off the pace has done the damage for Svindal. Right here, pushed wide on the inside. There's a couple of hundreds gone. And the joint leaders celebrate. They've seen off the challenge of the World Cup Tour leader. Now Eric Gay of Canada. Skier from Mont-Tremblant in Quebec. He's a man for the big occasion. The 2011 World Downhill Champion. When the chips are down, Eric Gay is someone that can really deliver. 3 World Cup wins in his career, 2 of them coming in Garmisch. Perhaps goes a little better on Super G, but when the speed skis are on his feet, Eric Gay can get the job done. 0.75 off the pace though, and the Canadian with a lot of work to do on the bottom section. See the current standings across the bottom of your screen. So Eric Gay with 0.75 before the next split. It's growing a little bit, 1.35. 118.8 on the speed gun. You need that to be over 120 if you're going to have even a chance of getting close to the podium today. And unfortunately that gap keeps growing for Eric Gay. Over a second and a half now. Not his day. Running very wide here. And the Canadian We'll have to put this run behind him. And 2 minutes, 0.68, over 2 seconds back. And Gay goes into 16th place. And he looks pretty knackered after that one as well.
For the Canadian, no, dobbiamo giustificarlo perché non sta bene fisicamente. Eric Fouquet has got a problem, he's got a fever the last days for Eric Fouquet. Slow motion for the Canadian. 21 e 22, quindi con i 21 e 22 andremo a chiudere i top
15 della lista di...
Kjetil Jansrud from Norway on course, the Norwegian powerhouse team. And Jansrud certainly within touch on the top section of the course, and Jansrud with a big mistake. Oh, that could be the challenge. Over right there, that's all the time gone point. 7-9 off the pace. Norwegian now with huge amount of work to do. Winner in downhill in Super G, I should say, in 2012. Earlier this year on home snow in Kvitfjell. Jansrud now over a second off the pace. Third in Beaver Creek earlier this season, and Jansrud's well wide, and that might even cost him a World Cup point in this race. Second in the standings at the moment, but Jansrud 3.42 off the pace. He saw where all the time was gone. Was lost, I should say. And a big mistake. Sent him almost out of the track. He had a huge mistake on the top part of the course as well. So a run to forget for Jansrud. Well, he's not going to be in second too much longer. The World Cup Tour in the downhill standings runs wide here, has to put the brakes on, and you can see standing up tall, just keeping those skis on track. Klaus Kroll now from Austria on course. Third here last year. 2.9 deficit for Kroll, his teammate, the joint leader. Dennis Reichelt. Klaus Kroll still the wrong side of the clock at the third time check. It's 0.46 now for the Austrian. And you have to be a little closer than that if you want to really get in touch. So Klaus Kroll now has to really get on the gas pedal. Could claw back a little bit more time. He's good through this section. That's a nice flight from Klaus Kroll, and time check number 4. Well, he's brought it right back. 0.04 of a second. A tremendous midsection of the course from Kroll. Good through the traverse. And now 0.20, 0.2 of a second up. Klaus Kroll on a flyer on the bottom section of the course. Can he hold that up? Spoil the well, it won't spoil the Austrian party, it'll spoil the Italian party. Kroll now in that tuck, looking for the finish line. Oh, into fourth, 200ths of a second. Kroll losing it right on the finish line. We've got 4 skiers separated by 200ths of a second. 2 men tied for the lead. Svindal in third. Of course, nobody gets awarded second place when there's a tie in first. Svindal in second, 100th of a second. Kroll, 200ths of a second.
Dominik Paris sono lì I due leader.
He's disappointed. He knows where that time has gone. Blink of an eye, all that separates Kroll from getting into top spot. It's the same story for Svindal. Maybe they'll go have a drink together after and have a chat. But Reichelt and Paris seeing off some of the big names here. After 22 men. But they won't really rest easily until we've seen certainly bib 31, Andre Yerman. Yerman, that winner here in 2009. So Svindal in second, just seen the best of his run. And Dominik Paris, the co-leader. Early start number as well. Never been a winner on the World Cup Tour. But he's getting closer and closer to that elusive first victory. So we move on. Guillermo Fayed up next from France. Bib 23. Huge flight off La Rocca. 0.19 the deficit. Now Fayed settles into the run here. Really don't get much of a chance to catch your breath. This course just keeps coming at you. And representing the Club de Sport Chamonix, about half a second off the pace. Never been a winner on the World Cup Tour. Hasn't had a podium at this stage of his career either. 0.78, so that gap just keeps growing for Guillermo Fayed. th in the Tour standings at this stage of the season. And now Fayed, a high tuck position. A nice flight, but a lot of the time already gone. And Fayed at intermediate 4 now, half a second and a half off the pace. He's found some good speed, but he's not closing that gap. From a second and a half off the pace at this stage. 1.45 at intermediate. Number 5. Damage limitation on the bottom section, pushed wide on the course, and Fayed over the final jump. And a Frenchman into 15th place, second and a half back at this stage. It's not going to end up any further back unless someone else takes the lead. And well, he'll take a few moments to catch his breath as we work through the last of the top 30. Fantastic crowd in here in Bormio. Many ski racing fans making the reasonably short journey, just a couple of hours, up from Milan. Drive up the side of the banks of Lake Como. Absolutely beautiful part of the world. Georg Streitberger is on course for Austria. We've got an Austrian in a tie for the lead. And a skier from Inner Krems. Hotbed of ski racing, if you ask me. Streitberger, the youngster from the Austrian team. Over a second back at this stage. And unfortunately, Streitberger out of the course. Getting my Streitbergers mixed up. This is Georg, not Otmar. We'll see Otmar a little later. I'll have to scribble my notes out. Georg, I think it's fair to say, not quite as much of a youngster as Otmar, who'll come a little later. And Georg from Saalbach, Hinterglemm. Not Inner Krems. Saalbach. Still a hotbed of ski racing. Do apologise, everyone. So disappointment for Streitberger. Out of the course, and so Travis Gagnon on course. First of the American challengers from bib 25. Americans haven't won here since 2007. Bodie Miller the winner. 0.64 intermediate 3 still in touch. Doing this tough traverse, and the snow is still in the shade, and seeing just little gaps where the sun's breaking through the trees. A real challenge for each of the skiers, adjusting to the light. And Gagnon, Squaw Valley in California. 163, he's not lost any more time. 6.8, so Gagnon putting down a good run here. We've seen just how close it is at the top of the standings. And Gagnon on for a really strong result here if he can just hold it together. 0.49 off the pace, found a little bit of time at the bottom of the course and puts him into 7th place, so he's going to be pretty happy with that run. And the American, shakes his head a little bit. I think he could be on for a career best result here. The best of 12th last season came in Kitzbühel, so if he holds on to that 7th, it'll be a career best result. Steve Nyman, no. Second of the American challengers. Over a second off the pace already in the skier from Park City in Utah. That was the winner a couple of weeks ago in Val Gardena. Can you keep that run of form? Going into this race, but this is a very different track, equally as tough, but it's not going to be a repeat victory, a second victory in a row for Nyman. Big mistakes in the run, nearly 2 seconds off the pace, and Nyman will just have to settle for wherever he ends up today, it's not going to be a top result. He'll just be hoping to pick up a few World Cup points. Knows the big mistakes in the run cost them a chance, and into 20th place, 2.17 off the pace. So 20th for Nyman. There's our joint leaders. Paris on the left, Reichelt on the right. We're back at Nyman's run as the Swiss fans start to make some noise for the next skier, Marc Gezin. So one gate just being repaired before Marc Gezin can take to the hill.
Bormio Ski al Stadium, una delle gare ovviamente che tutti gli atleti
in un palmarès di prestigio che rimarrà scritto.
So Gezin in the start gate, skier from Engelberg in Switzerland, Mecca for backcountry skiing. Look at the current standings. Reichelt and Paris, the joint leaders, Svindal 100th of a second back in third, Kroll in fourth, 200th of a second. And just a few to go in the top 30. They'll be getting a little more confident. Andre Yerman goes bib 31. Could be someone to keep an eye on. He has won here in the past, but Yerman hasn't had the best of seasons so far. So now Gezin in the start gates. The course is clear, the track is ready for this race to continue. And Gezin, a skier who's won the Europa Cup Tour, that's the B Tour, the next level down of World Cup of international ski racing. And the young skiers find their feet, learning their craft before stepping up to the World Cup Tour. Such a competitive tour as well. It means everyone's fighting for those top spots. And he's in now on the World Cup Tour. Never been on the podium on the World Cup. 4 off the pace, intermediate 2. And a little more time has gone, 1.26 off the pace. So as this course starts to get bathed in more sunshine, and Gezin pitched forwards, a little mistake, a little stumble, and the Swiss skier is losing time, 1.26 back. Speed's going to be a fraction down as well. We'll get the next check here against Reichelt's time, and it's not good reading for Gezin, down on speed, 116, 1.7 seconds off the pace for Gezin. And Reichelt and Paris will have seen off another challenger here. So is in, well, missing a gate out of the course. Standing up tall, nowhere else for him to go. Does come through the finish, but is in not able to complete the course. It's a big mistake on the bottom section, getting his line wrong, and frustrating day for Mark Gizin. Pushed wider, wide, and just can't crank those skis round enough. Long radius of the downhill skis. Stefan Kepler now for Germany. So Kepler still within a second of the leaders in the intermediate split, and the German skier going to keep it within a second. That would be a very strong run for Stefan Kepler from Ebingen in Germany. Been on the tour a few years now. Just the one World Cup podium in his career. That came in Val Gardena in 2010 in a Super G. Well, the gap's grown a little more, 1.3 off the pace. And his World Cup debut in downhill back in 2003. It was in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. And Kepler 1.16 back, but if he can get this within a second, he'll be reasonably happy with that. And he does, 0.99 off the pace into 11th place from bib 28. And the German fans give him a warm round of applause. I think as it's things stand, that's a strong performance from Kepler. In a tie for 11th with Peter Phil. Patrick Kung now of Switzerland on course. Kung running a little wide there, 0.78 off the pace. Just getting his line wrong, and that's going to be reflected in the time. Now 1.35 back. Patrick Kung, second here last year. So a name that the men at the top of the standings would have been watching with great interest, but I think they'll be a little relieved to see the time gap at over a second, and Kung certainly doesn't look like he's going to repeat that podium performance of last year. Now over 2 seconds back, it's no more glory for Patrick Kung in the Stelvio piece, certainly not this year anyway. The Swiss skier just losing more time, well over 2 seconds back, and Patrick Kung with a run to forget, 2.33 into 23rd. Down in 29th in the World Cup Tour standings, and Kung might just pushed a few more places down. So one to go in the top 30, Florian Scheiber from Austria. The Austrian now just under a second off the pace. So Scheiber, do beg your pardon. Not going to be challenging the leaders here. Still really to break through on the World Cup Tour. Only a full season now, but great 4th place for Scheiber in Beaver Creek back at the end of November. Backed it up with an 11th in Lake Louise, and now in Bormio. Going to stay in the World Cup points, and Scheiber 11th in the standings, goes into 19th place, 1.94 back. But he's starting to regularly grab those World Cup points and just to cement his place in the top seed of World Cup ski racers. Svindal's joined the 2 leaders. So, after the top 30, Reichelt and Paris lead, and with just a few names that they'll be keeping a close eye on to go, they'll be pretty confident that they'll be sharing the top step of the podium. Svindal in 3rd place. He's going to be picking up more valuable World Cup points, and the quest for the overall, the quest for the downhill Crystal Globe as well. And Svindal with a couple of huge mistakes on the run. Apart from them, I think we'd be seeing him in top spot. Well, Dominik Paris, current leader. He's never won on the World Cup Tour before, and he shares that top spot with Hannes Reichelt. Reichelt's won on the World Cup Tour in the past. 4 Super G wins for Reichelt. A giant slalom win as well, coming in Whistler. Back in 2008, I was actually at that race. At Whistler Creekside test event for the 2010 Winter Olympic Games. So bid 31 on course, Andrej Jerman of Slovenia. Fair to say, a bit of a surprise winner in 2009. And Jerman, well, the co-leaders will know he can get it done on this course. 2 wins in his career. 0.69 off the pace, but the speed not great for Jerman. But anyone that's won on this track is certainly a threat. That's how Reichelt and Paris will see it. I think they'll be breathing a little easier after Jerman's run's complete. We're not going to call it yet. We're not going to say we've got our 2 winners confirmed. This is World Cup ski racing. There's 55 men on the start list, and we're going to give them all due respect, and we won't call it formally, of course, until the race is over. But a few youngsters still to go on the start list. Young man from Austria, Matthias Meyer. Johannes Kroll will be up next as well. Otmar Streetinger, he's still to come. Andrew Weibrecht as well at bib 52, but Reichelt and Paris will start to celebrate. Jerman's not going to be on the podium today. 1.95 off the pace. He's approaching the end of his challenge, and And of course he knows well, of course he's had success on, drops into 20th place.
L'anno prima, nel 2002, ragazzo di Capo. Intanto 2-0-0-6-0, 20esimo.
So a shrug of the shoulders from Yerman. And now the skiers will come at us just a little bit quicker. Time gaps reduced for the later starters. Oh, big mistake there. Oh, and how did he stay on his feet? What a recovery from Johannes Kroll. I'd love to get a look back at that. And Kroll, well, I thought he was down there, I have to admit. Over 3 seconds back. I'm glad he's on his feet. That could have been so serious. Heart in mouth stuff. I'm not surprised to see this gap growing. That'll push the heart rate up, that's for sure. And Johannes Kroll is going to be some way back here, but lucky to be on his feet and avoiding what would have been a very serious, a very nasty crash. I do hope we get a look back at the replay of that, because, well, it's a very, very scary moment indeed.
Dicevo che il la conferma di quest'anno con una gara thriller, una gara bellissima che ci ha dato tanto e tanto.
Brice Roger, on course now, bid 33 from France. Johan Clary, the best of the French, in 5th place. And Brice Roger in 33 crosses a line in 15th place, so strong performance from Roger, 1.35 off the pace. He's happy with that. Anything in the top 15 from outside the top 30 is a really strong result. Matthias Meyer now from Austria, the youngster that the Austrian Federation have got high hopes for. Looking good on the top section. Just lost the clock for this one. But he's a strong athlete, powerful skier, lovely tuck position, very dynamic on the skis. Oh, but he's pushed wide. Can he get back on the course? Well, a lot of time gone there for Meyer. He's not on the line he wants to be on, and that might cause him a few more problems. Oh, pushed onto the tails of the skis and that compression, and Matthias Meyer out of the course. The Austrian fans keep cheering. As with 35, Andreas Romar from Finland, a nation that's a little more well known for their tech skiers. Palander, Putiainen, the names that spring to mind. And Andreas Romar starts off his challenge. 19th in Lake Louise, 37th in Beaver Creek. That was last year. Into this year's 16th in Lake Louise, and he's close on the speed gun, just picked up 1 point in Beaver Creek for 30th, but Romar on a charge, 0.45. And this is impressive so far from the Finnish skier. Now, can he stop that gap from growing a little more? And he could be on for an absolutely spectacular result. Well, it's 1.13 for Romar. And now, a bit of damage limitation, but a very healthy World Cup points score could be on the cards for the Finnish speed skier. Flowing nicely from turn to turn. Skiing a good line here, gliding the skis well. Looks good in the air. And Romar seeing a little more of his run after Mayer, the skier before him, came out. And 1.5 off the pace. But he's dealt with this section well, down with the icy hard snows. Found an extra 100th of a second here. And Romar could be on for a top 15 if he can just find a little more time on the bottom section. Andreas Romar from bib 35 crosses the line in 14th place, does find some time on the bottom section of the course, and yeah, he gives us a fist bump, a little celebration, happy with that, as he should be. Andreas Sander now from Germany. 1.3 back now for Sander. And the German skier. It's all about picking up World Cup points for these athletes. Especially those like Sander that are towards the beginning of their career. Still a long way to go for Sander, but this valuable experience for the German. 2.29 off the pace though. And Sander in danger of not picking up any World Cup points. So from bib 36, Sander crosses the line, 28th, but with quite a few skiers still to go, he's in danger of being pushed out of the top 30. Next to the Italian challengers, Sigmar Klotz. So many of these skiers that we're seeing now, learning these tracks and developing their skills on the toughest tracks in the World Cup, can throw at them. Klotz over 2 seconds back now, just seeing that deficit grow a little more for Klotz. Starting to look a little tired in the run, the hands are back up in that top position. Klotz giving a couple of seconds off the pace, 2.24 into 28th spot. So Klotz, another skier that will be hoping to hang on for a World Cup point. In 38, Baratoni from Italy. We'll see a couple more Italian skiers to go. And the Italian fans will, of course, support the youngsters, support the developing athletes. And Baratoni, intermediate 4, is 2.23 back. A good speed on the gun, 120.9 for Baratoni. One's just a little low, feet very wide apart. 2.23. Now Baratoni just approaching the line. We're going to be a point score for the Italian. Moves into 30th place. I'll be surprised if that does hold on for a World Cup points, but Paratoni a little tired after that. You can't blame him. This is an extremely tough hill. And much respect to anyone prepared to take on the challenge of the Stelvio. Niels Manny now from Switzerland. Great to get a look at all these the late starters and see the difference and see just how small the margins are. These skiers looking to find a little boost in performance. Manny, a fraction on the inside ski there, 117.9. It's all about experience for these skiers, but you want to be picking those points up. Just try and move up the start list a little bit. Sometimes that helps get a bit of extra support from their national ski federations as well. And Niels Manny from bib 39. A pretty strong run, to be fair, into 26th place, 2.18 off the pace. Warm round of applause from the Swiss fans, not too far away from the Swiss border here. Ralf Weber, still a teenager and skiing the Stelvio piste. Weber, the youngest man in the race today. 1.75 at intermediate, number 3. He's making a good fight of it so far, but now the time's gone and the speed's not there as well. 2.89, losing a lot of time between intermediate 3 and intermediate 4. Weber just pitched backwards, a little more time gone. He has to adjust. Oh, and Weber's down and out. That is a horrible crash through the B netting. Well, we might have a little delay here. A big crash from Ralf Weber. Well, that is good to see. He's on his feet. There's some soft snow there as well. That's why he's stumbling, but he ran wide here, pitched on the tails, tries to carve it out, but the gate comes at you and he has to throw it wide and crank them round. It's into a compression and he was already maxed out. And that netting doing its job. It's kind of trapped in there, to be fair. So Matteo Marsaglia has got some fans in the finish. Now he's on course, but I wonder if he might be yellow flagged here. Unless Weber has managed to get out the way quickly, but that is a spill zone. That's why all those nets are there for Ralf Weber. So no time checks at the moment for Matteo Marsaglia. Sort it all out at the end, just enjoy the run. There's compression, it's such a difficult turn. The force is so strong on the body in downhill ski racing. And Marsaglia through the traverse, looking for the speed. Well, hopefully for him, no yellow flag. Can complete the run in. Oh, there is the yellow flag. Just as we thought. Yellow flag zones in place. If there's an accident further down the course, marshals will wave a yellow flag to stop the skier because it means there is danger up ahead. And Ralf Weber still in the netting, and what that means is Marsaglia is going to get a helicopter ride back to the start. The helicopter there, obviously for medical emergencies, and it does take the athletes back to the start. In the unlucky event of a yellow flag situation, what they will do though is they will give him time. He'll get a quick lift to the top. It would take the best part of 35 minutes, maybe slightly longer, to make it all the way back to the top using the lifts. And we want to get the race underway, or race finished, as quickly and safely as possible, so we'd be waiting quite a while for Marsaglia if he was to just make his own way up. The helicopter at least means that the skier doesn't have to go on a snowmobile. That can sap some of the energy from you going up on a snowmobile, being bounced around. The helicopter will have him back to the start in minutes, and he'll be slotted into the start list at an appropriate point. I think realistically it might be actually after bib 55 now, because the technicians will want to do some work on the skis, of course. Not an ideal situation, but it's just part of World Cup ski racing.
1 minute for 42.
Well, the wand open for the next man, Markus Düreger from Austria. 20 seconds, we're told, so the course must be clear. 30 seconds, I said, 30 sekunder.
Afgestuurd, alles. Ja, geen toe in staat. 5. Hinhalten, hier, hinhalten. 3.
Düreger on course now for Austria. Austria. .79 at intermediate 2, a little down on the speed, running a fraction wide there as well. And Düreger, you can see most of his run here, all of his run in fact, because of the crash of Ralf Weber. You can hear the helicopter. That's a good sign. That means that Marsaglia is on his way back to the top. And the Austrian here, 1.67 off the pace. Anything under 2 seconds is very competitive indeed. And if he could just keep it to under 2 seconds, we'll see on the next time check. That should be the key one. The gap might have grown just a little more. And it is over 2 seconds now. It's over 3 seconds. And not great on the speed gun as well. 113 kilometers an hour. Düreger just looking a little tired. So Düreger, bib 42, approaching the end of his run. And the Austrian goes into 34th place, 4.55 off the pace. Some positives to take from that run though. Strong on the top section, and with Hans Poon watching on, sport director of the Austrian Ski Federation. I was watching those young skiers, seeing who might be the next superstar for the Austrian team. Christian Specher from Switzerland. Over over 2 seconds back now. 2.66 for the Swiss skier. And Spesha. Again, a skier that just wants a World Cup point, running very, very wide. He'll do well to stay on the course here. And that gap, unfortunately for him, is going to be over 3 seconds by the time he crosses the finish line. And Spesha 3.44 into 34th place. So up next will be Thomas Biesmeyer from the USA, wearing bib 44 from New York State, over on the East Coast. Oh no! Oh, huge crash! Oh no! Biesmeyer with a horrific crash there. Well, he's on his feet, which is absolutely remarkable. They breed them tough over on the east coast of the USA, but just watch this again. It's on the inside skis, pitched back up, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about that, landing on the left side of the hip. Oh, that was horrible to watch, but to see him on his feet, avoiding the net, sometimes the net's the worst bit of it. Making his way down, well, he's going to feel that, that's for sure. But on his feet, and
senza alcuna conseguenza, questa è la cosa più importante.
Unlikely anyone is going to challenge the top 3. Still a few races to go. Svindal in 3rd place with a great run. Just 2 errors on the run, really costing Svindal the win today. 3rd place for him. Dominik Paris from bib 10. Tremendous run from the Italian. He's never won on the World Cup Tour. Pretty likely that's going to change today, and he's going to share the top step of the podium with the Austrian Hannes Reichelt. Well, Reichelt had a great top section to the run. Mistake in the mid part, but he brought the time back on the bottom section. So we'll look at the current standings. As we've just said, Reichelt in Paris, 1st and 2nd. Svindal in 3rd. Klaus Kroll 0.02 of a second away from the win. Strong performance from Benjamin Thompson of Canada today in 15th place. And Andres Romar just ahead of him in 14th. Eric Gay will be a little disappointed. He was 3rd last time out in Val Gardena, down in 24th. Jansrud, but surprised to see him so far back. He's been at the top end of the races this season, 3rd in Beaver Creek, 4th in Val Gardena. And the Stelvio piece finishes right in the heart of Bormio. Lovely little cafe just across the road from the finish area. Fantastic coffee. Lovely sandwiches as well. So just a slight delay after bib 44, Thomas Biesmeyer. A nasty crash, the worst we've seen of the day. Did make his way to the bottom of the course under his own steam. Alexandre Bouliot from France next on course. Kind of nice having a little weight like this in the start gate, and Bormio ready to get this race back underway. Skier from Val d'Isère. So Biesmeyer had a big crash before him, and Bormio 0.20, 2/10 of a second off the pace at the first of the intermediate splits. That's the technical section of the course. Then you start to glide through this course using the natural terrain so well. It just flows through the hill, but it means it is a challenge from top to bottom. There is so much terrain on this course, and that's what makes it such a difficult racetrack. 1.25. That is good from Bormio. Just as I say that, he's twisted sideways. The brakes are on. And a very healthy run comes to an abrupt end for Bormio. He was certainly on for maybe a top 25 there. Comes out of the compression. Loaded up on that left foot. Sprung up in the air. There's absolutely nothing he can do to recover from that one and stay on the line. Just doing the sensible thing, putting the brakes on. Marvin van Heek from the Netherlands on course. Fantastic to see the Netherlands represented in World Cup skiing. Van Heek, absolutely remarkable 8th place in Val Gardena. Means he's picked up 32 World Cup points, sits in 8th in the standings. The weather did get, let's just say, a little funky that day, but Van Heek with a good performance. Can he draw on that, give him more confidence and maybe break through into the top 30 again? Van Heek 1.75 off the pace here. It's not going to be a top 10, that's for sure, but can he back up that 8th place with even just a top 30? And the Dutch speed skier now 3.31 off the pace, 116.2 on the gun. And Van Heek, well, he's not going to repeat the performance of a couple of weeks ago. And I think a World Cup point might be out of the question today as well. So Van Heek now comes around a final corner over the final jump. And the Dutch athlete into 35th place, 3.67 off the pace. Well, Zepnik was on course, and unfortunately for him, a huge crash. The German skier into the safety nets, and the medical team running across to him. Concern in the finish area as well for Zepnik. He's moving around and untangled himself. Let's look back at the replay. Just as come off the steep pitch, as a left foot turn, it flattens out, and if you're not absolutely precise with the loading of the ski, it will throw you out of the course. And rightly, he's just taking his time. Seems to be going into his shoulder. Well, Otmar Striedinger started, and I do hope that he's not going to get yellow flag, but I fear he might. Striedinger the Austrian. Skiing from bib 48. Well, he is going to get yellow flagged here, as we thought, and that crash of Zepnik's going to take a little bit of time, and he's angry, but you can understand the frustration. You get yourself focused in the zone. The skis are prepared, the body, the mind is prepared. There's no use shouting at the yellow flag person, they're just there to do their job. Well, Zepnik's on his feet, which is great to see, but it is going to take a couple of minutes now. Oh, the great team here are ready to start drilling those gates back in. You can see why it had to be yellow flag. Why the Austrian had to be yellow flagged. Struding up. If he'd have had an accident there, there's people assisting to Zepnik. The B-net is not in place, so you've just got to accept it and accept whatever lift you can to the top. Bosjan Klina is waiting patiently in the start gate.
Ne mancano veramente pochi, 55 pettorali alla partenza, per cui pochissimi a concludere questa.
There's the view from the grandstand, back up the Stelvio piste as the gates are quickly drilled back in. It's going to be a snowmobile back to the top. Forrest Streeting up. A helicopter there, just because he's a little closer to the start and it gets him up, in this case, a little faster.
Già, è stata una grande gara e soprattutto la gara per il momento, ma non finisce qui, secondo me non finisce qui per il futuro. La gara della vita, Dominik Paris, eccezionale, potrebbe essere l'inizio della gloria.
Well, not an empty seat, well, a couple of empty seats, but maybe they've just gone. A refreshment. Packed grandstands here in Bormio, as they always are when we race in this part of the world. A few skiers at the side of the hill as well. Fantastic hill. Great challenge when the young skiers get to race here on FIS races. I was actually here for a World Cup, a Europa Cup ski cross race in, it would have been 2008 or 2009, certainly around about that season, at least February 2009, and it was quite an interesting ski cross race on the bottom of the Stelvio, that's for sure. They have done, you can do some night racing as well here, which is obviously a lot of fun. I suppose Jan Klina is just having the snow cleaned off his boots and waiting for the OK. I think the gates, the B-netting I should say, is back just about in place. Still got a couple of skiers to go as well on their reruns. Marsaglia, he was being helicoptered to the start gate, and Otmar Streeninger, who we've just seen making his way back to the start by the snowmobile. I've seen a few scary looking crashes for me. The crash of Biesmeyer, far the worst, but he did make his way to the bottom of the course under his own steam, and the US team physios will be working away with Biesmeyer, making sure he's okay.
Numéro 49 au départ. 30 seconds.
So we're just a few moments away from getting this race back underway.
Abbiamo già detto Christophe in nono e Adrien Furlato francese.
10.
So Boštjan Klina from Maribor in Slovenia, the regular stop on the Women's World Cup Tour. Gets things underway again. And still one of the younger skiers in this race. We'll see his full run. Boštjan Klina wearing at bib 49. On the World Cup Tour now. A couple of seasons, had some starts in 2009, 2010. All about just building some experience. A good score in his first full season in Lenzerheide in 2011. Boštjan Klina, the World Junior Champion in downhill and Super G from the 2011 World Championships. Giving the Slovenian Federation hope that they have unearthed a new speed start for their program. First real full season on the World Cup Tour 2011-12, and it's going to plan so far today in Bormio. Just that 1 point score last year in Super G, 25th place, and Boštjan Klina, now with a full season of World Cup skiing under his belt, is making a good fist of this Bormio piste here, hoping to sneak into the World Cup points if he can. And the Slovenian over the final jump, Boštjan Klina, 49 into 29th place. Well, just a handful of skiers to go. That might give him a World Cup point or two. So Boštjan Klina into the points. The next skier, Fernando Schmed from Switzerland. Schmed making his World Cup debut here today. First time he'll have skied in competition on this track. Of course, the 2 training runs would have helped. And a man making his first World Cup start. Let's see what this young man from Switzerland can do. 55 skiers on the start list, of course. We do still have 2 skiers to complete or to rerun, and Schmed flying high on the top jump. 1, 2, 3 off the pace. We'll not see a lot of the midsection. There's a slight gap between Klina and Schmed. They do start to space the skiers out a little more, actually, towards the end of the race, just to try and avoid any yellow flag incidents. We've had a couple, but the last thing you want to do is have a yellow flag incident or bib 454 or something and have to then keep everyone in place for another 15-20 minutes. So it's much more sensible just to space the last few skiers out and let them complete their run before the next skier goes. And Schmed 2.18 off the pace at the midway point of the course. Schmed being bounced around a little bit, but still holding his own on his World Cup debut. And the Swiss skier approaching intermediate 4th. A little on the tails of the skis there, but still holding an okay line, standing a fraction tall. He's not quite going to have the speed through the gun. He's flying high off San Pietro. And Schmed still approaching the time check 4. A lot of that time gone now. 3.22 off the pace. So World Cup points on debut, not going to happen. Florian Schmed now 3.15 back. He's pushed wide, and avoids a fall, can't get back on the course, and on his debut isn't going to complete the run. So Florian Schmed out of the course. Near the bottom, it's on the inside ski and then twisted. The upper body, all the forces are pulling you down the hill there. Straight down the fall line. And you want to be working across the hill with the right foot. The Swiss skier avoids a fall. Pangrazi from Italy, wearing a bib 51. Two-six back now, over a second. Made his debut on the World Cup Tour in Veng in 2011 in an Alpine Combined race. Finished in 22nd there. So a few World Cup starts in the 2010-11 season. Over 2 seconds off the pace. His first time at racing the World Cup on this Stelvio piste though. And the Italian now over 2 seconds back off the pace of Reichelt and Paris. Highly unlikely to be knocked off the top step of the podium. Pangrazi did race in Val Gardena last week, or 2 weeks back, 36th place there. Not going to be in the points now, 4.34 back. All about just completing this course. Running wide on the bottom section. Pangrazi bib 51. He's going to cross the line in a time of 2 minutes 04.32. Over 5 seconds back though. Currently in 39th place. Well, it's a tough old racetrack, this one. Catching his breath in the bottom of the course. It does take it out of you.
Scende con il numero 41 e immediatamente dietro di lui è già partito anche
So we've still got Otmar Stridinger and Marsaglia still to go, but next on course is Andrew Weibrecht from the USA, from New York State, a man that's got an Olympic bronze medal in Super G from the 2010 games. Weibrecht hasn't quite done it at the World Cup level, but anyone that can grab an Olympic gold is someone to keep an eye on. He might just turn it on when you least expect it. And Weibrecht at 1.24 back, and now 1.88. Doesn't want to lose any more time, about 30 seconds of racing still to go. World Cup points certainly on the cards for Weibrecht. He's lost just a little more time now. Oh, he's twisted on that left foot. So another mistake will have cost Weibrecht even more. And the Olympic bronze medalist from the 2010 games from bib 52 crosses the line in 32nd place, 2.8 off the pace. And he'll know where he made those mistakes in the run. Weibrecht just always such a fighter, such a loose style on the course, and hip almost dragging on the snow. Paul de la Cuesta from Spain on the course now. Nice to see the Spanish men's team with representation on the World Cup Tour. De la Cuesta making his World Cup debut today. in downhill. He made his first World Cup start in giant slalom in 2009 in the Glacier of Solden, but today his first downhill start. Della Cuesta over 2 seconds back at intermediate 3. It's not an easy place to make your downhill debut, but what track is, it's such a tough sport, and all these men dedicating their lives to their sport. And Della Cuesta now at intermediate 4 over 3 seconds back, 115 down, 15 kilometers an hour on this speed gun. The best have been over 120. And that's the difference, 3.4 now for Della Cuesta. So the Spanish skier crossing the line in 38th place. Did do the training runs in Lake Louise and Beaver Creek and Gardena, but taking to the start for the first time in downhill here, Della Cuesta. So 4 skiers still to go. And dropping back to bib 41 now on his rerun, Matteo Marsaglia from Italy. He was yellow flagged quite far down the course. And he's had about a 30-minute gap between his runs. But still, having exerted all that effort on that first run that he was yellow flagged on, I do expect him to maybe quite have the energy reserves he would have had when he made his original start, and often that's why the skiers are so frustrated when they have to do a rerun. They understand it, they know the rules, but it's just a little frustrating. It's bad luck. No bad luck for the skier that's fallen before you, but Marsaglia knows the deal. Sometimes it happens to you. You've just got to accept it. It's part of the learning curve. It's part of the sport of downhill ski racing. You have to put it behind you and just treat whatever you had on that first attempt at the course as a little bit of extra training. Learn from it and give it everything on your rerun. And Marsaglia is doing that a little off the pace. The Italian's going to cross the line in 33rd place, 2.92, just a little off a World Cup point, and after about 2 3/4 runs on this course, or nearly 2 full runs on this course, we'll get a well-round rest now. So we've still got Otmar Striedinger to go as well. And Striedinger being slotted in next before the final 2 skiers. The man from Inner Krems. So Striedinger still within a second. Can he be within a second at intermediate 3? Well, 1.4. At the midway point of the course, that's pretty healthy, and he's got further than he managed on the first attempt at the course. No yellow flags coming his way now, so it's all on Striedinger. And he's fighting hard here. Very aggressive approach from the Austrian, and still within touch of going into the top 30. Bib 48 originally, now skiing effectively, bib 55. 1.94. Down on the gun, 114, but at the time what matters, a little sideways move. Perhaps some more time lost from Striedinger, 2.08. But a top 30 certainly on the cards. for Ottmar Striedinger here. And the Austrian settles into the tuck position, trying to find every ounce of speed he can as he dives across the line into 25th place, 2.11 back. And Striedinger, originally from bib 48, I think he'll be pretty pleased with that in the end. Picking up some valuable World Cup points. So now just the two skiers to go. Yuri Danilochkin from Belarus on course. Oh, he's gone high on the top jump and he's down. Oh, on La Rocca. Danilochkin making a big mistake. He's okay. He gives us a wave as we look back on the finish area, picks the ski up. Thankfully, the last skier, Anton Lindebner from Germany, would not have started, but he got the line wrong coming off the jump. Twisted in the air, landed with the ski not quite where he wanted it to be, and the ski popping off. And Danilochkin, thankfully okay, avoided something that could have been a little worse. So 1 to go, and it'll be officially confirmed. Dominik Paris gets his first World Cup win. It's the Italian team watching on. And of course, Hannes Reichelt joining Dominik Paris on the top step of the podium today. A tie for the win. Unless Anton Lindebner does something absolutely remarkable. And Lindebner just waiting on the gate to be fixed that Danilochkin crashed into. The German making his very first World Cup start today. It's been quite a long race, a few delays, a few crashes.
Buone feste, buon San Silvestro e l'appuntamento per il prossimo anno.
Geht es doch nicht auf, geht's. 15. 5, 4, 3.
So Lindebner on course, the last man in this Stelvio piece today, and World Cup number 4 in the downhill World Cup Tour of the 2012-13 season. What an exciting race it's been. Paris, Reichelt, Svindal, Weiss Kroll within 0.02 of a second of each other. As Lindebner is going to bring the race to a close. Let's hope he can get a finish. Complete the run, complete the course. 1.29 back, intermediate 2. It's grown, unfortunately, over 2 seconds, 2.34. The midway point of the course. He's in a real fight, a real battle. Being pitched around. Hasn't quite developed the strength of the top World Cup downhillers yet. It's just his first World Cup start. And Lindebner getting some valuable experience here of the World Cup Tour. It is a different kettle of fish to the Europa Cup Tour and your regular FIS races. There's much more of a media circus, and the brands are all here, the representatives, and much more many more fans. It's just a different environment, and that takes a little bit of getting used to. And Lindebner over 5 seconds back now, but Don't worry about the time, just get the finish. Try and just enjoy the experience of skiing one of the classic World Cup downhill tracks. And Lindeb there is going to complete the run, and the last skier over the line in 43rd place, 5.68 back, but safely completing the course and bringing the race to a close. And that means we can finally 100% confirm it that we've got a tie for the win here in Bormio between Hannes Reichelt and Dominik Paris, as we look back on the replay of Anton Lindebner of Germany on his World Cup debut. We'll get the final results now. Wow, a tie for first place, as we've been saying. You don't see that too often in Svindal, just 1/100th of a second back. Case of what might have been for Svindal today. Another tie in 11th between Kepler, great result for him, and Peter Phil. Impressed by Romar in 14th and Thompson in 15th. Otmar Striedinger coming through in 25th in the end. On a rerun as well. Looking at the skiers, Sigmar Klotz agonisingly outside of the World Cup points, finishing in 31st place today. If he did not finish, athletes, the worst of the crashes for me, certainly Thomas Biesmeyer of the USA. Landing on his hip, that was a very nasty fall indeed. A beautiful view looking back across the village of Bormio. We'll see the downhill standings now. Svindal builds on his advantage, and Dominik Paris now up into second place, 92 points behind. Eric Gay dropping down the standings. He was in third. Eric Gay now down to 7th, picking up just the 7 World Cup points today. Klaus Kroll jumps from 7th up to 3rd. He picks up 50 for finishing in 4th. Svindal now 92 points clear in the overall. Svindal 114 points clear of Hirscher. But there's a bit of a break now on the speed tour. Next speed races are in Wengen, so Hirscher will have a chance to close that gap at the top of the overall standings as we close out the calendar year of 2012 and move into 2013 and look towards the World Championships in 2013 in Schladming. Let's look back at some of the highlights from our top 3 skiers. Well, what a race as the gates get cleared from the Stelvio piste. Dominik Paris from bib number 10 was strong from top to bottom, but he built the time up and really powered on the bottom third of the course. Reichelt had a healthy advantage at the top of the track. A little mistake cost him, but he clawed it back to get into that tie. Svindal, well, he was in touch all the way down and just drifted out a little bit near the bottom of the course. Two big mistakes on his run. And Svindal ending up in third, just a 100th of a second back. So just a few moments time and the awards ceremony will get underway. Stick with us for the next 10 minutes or so and we'll enjoy the podium celebrations from today's World Cup downhill in Bormio as we look back across this beautiful town in northern Italy. Absolutely wonderful place. So many great restaurants and little shops, lovely narrow streets to walk around and explore. Classic Italian Alpine village in the Lombardy region, not too far from the bigger town of Sondrio. And elevation, the town of Bormio at 1,225 metres, 4,019 feet. Some famous thermal baths near here as well. Members of the Roman aristocracy had actually travelled many years ago to enjoy the warm baths in the mountains here, and actually those thermal baths are still in use. This village, of course, hosted the 2005 World Championships and the 1985 World Championships as well. And the Stelvio piste, named after the Stelvio Pass on the World Cup Tour. This is the World Cup Tour, the Stelvio Pass, not too far away. Famous cycling pass. Goes up to 2,757 metres. One of the highest in the Alps. It is a spectacular road, just not too far away from here. It's been used as a stage of the Giro d'Italia. Used earlier this calendar year. Stage 20 of the Giro d'Italia. Thomas de Gent, the winner, if you know your cycling. Wasn't used that often. Before that, 2005, 1994, and then a long wait, 1980. But the Stelvio Pass, if you're into your cycling or you're perhaps driving those mountain passes, is well worth a visit. And there's a Stelvio Glacier as well, where a few national teams do some training, as we're going to get ready for the podium celebration. Svindal third today, making his way onto the podium, picking up 60 World Cup points, builds his advantage at the top of the downhill standings, and now building that advantage at the top of the overall standings. On the top step of the podium for the very first time in his career, Dominik Paris, and Hannes Reichelt joins him in first place. Nobody on the left-hand side of your screen, the right side of the podium, the top three men. Paris, Reichelt and Svindal. Svindal raising Dominik Paris, arms aloft. It's nice, he's in the middle on home snow. Well, Svindal seems pleased. Oh, they're going to do a photo with Reichelt in the middle as well. That's a nice touch as well, giving both the winners a chance to have that photo. I think we know which one the Austrian press are going to use, and we know which one the Italian press will use, as the flower ceremony medals will be handed out. Svindal's used to this now. The world's media, ski racing media, just getting those photos. And it's been a few years since the last Italian winner here in Bormio. That was Innerhofer in 2008. Dominik Paris now joins a new list of winners. The greats have won here, as I was saying earlier. Lassajus, Luc Alphon, Hermann Mayer, Darren Ralphs. Ralphs won here a couple of times in his career. Bodie Miller's won here in 2007. Michael Valkhofer in 2010. Didier Defago last year. And there's the great man, Alberto Tomba, on hand to help. He's going to get on the podium. So Tomba there enjoying the moment. Not sure if he's got an official role. I think he might be handing out one or two of the medals, but it's always good for the photos to have Tomba thereabouts, a man with 50 World Cup victories in his career, including a victory in Bormio in 1995 in a giant slalom, just ahead of Gunther Mada and Rainer Salzgeber that day back in March 1995. Well, both the Austrian and the Italian national anthems are being played for our joint winners here in Bormio. Wonderful scenes in the finish here. A huge crowd is stuck around as well, of course. You'd expect that with Dominik Paris being on the top step of the podium. So we've heard both the Italian and the Austrian national anthem for our two winners today. What a day here in Bormio. Congratulations to Dominik Paris and Hannes Reichelt. Well, not much of a break on the World Cup Tour. On the 1st of January we go to Munich for a city centre slalom, and then Zagreb, Adelboden and Wengen. From myself, Ian Finlay, thank you so much for your company. We'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.